This is an AmpPro, and for those of you unfamiliar with what an AmpPro is, it's not a high level to low level adapter. Let's just get that out of the way right off the top. There's nothing about this, even though it looks like one, it is not a high level to low level. What this is a data to data connection between the factory radio, premium sound system, and this. What this is designed to do is tee in between the factory radio and the amplifier, take that signal that comes from the radio and goes to the amplifier, and bring it into this. That means that you get the signal coming out of the radio, that full range, clean signal goes into this and out through the RCAs. This gives you a 5 volt or 4 volt, there's a dip switch for it here on the back side, output. So you have front, rear, sub, full bandwidth that can go off to your amplifiers. Now what makes the AmpPro unique is that you can also retain use of the factory amplifier. So for example, if you're just going to add a subwoofer, you can put this in, take the subwoofer out. The advantages of using this over a high level to low level is that full frequency signal coming into this. You don't have to worry about bass roll off, equalization from the factory, nothing. You get a nice clean, just like it was an aftermarket radio, going off to those subwoofers. In this case, we're going to be using this over here, this little knockout. This is for the Toshlink. There's a plus and a minus to using that. The plus is there's no RCAs, meaning we don't have to worry about picking up any noise or anything like that passing between the front of the car and the back of the car, because it's digital, it just like doesn't pick up noise. The disadvantage to it is sensors. Toshlink is a 2-channel audio, I mean it's just left, it's just right. This truck has a quadraphonic sensor system, meaning that there's a sensor up front here and in the back here and here. As you're backing up, this will beep, when you're up front, this will beep, this will beep. That's going to take those sensors from the left and right channel and just put them all on the left and all on the right. They're not going to beep according to position anymore. So when deciding to do this, it's one of the things you have to consider. Better sound quality, yay, or sensors that stick where they're at. They're still going to be on left and they're still going to be on right. They're just not going to be front and rear. The customer has gone with, I want better sound quality, as we figured he would. That is a separate part called an APA TOS1. Inside the bag is a little tiny part and the instructions, of course, to do it. It's fairly straightforward. Take the case and pop it from one side. This will come off. These blue connectors will come off if you just lift up a tad. Knock out the blue square here. Open the bag. You'll see this little piece of foam, remove that, and behind that is a bunch of little eggs. Those are designed to marriage up with this bank here. Line it up in place and push. Put the blue cover back on, line up your case. Little door on here that the cable will plug into. Now we have digital. There is one more step though. There's a dip switch bank here that we have to select 2-channel audio. Going onto their website and going to the instruction manual for it. Dip switch 1 is the rear chime path. Turn that on. All those rear chimes will be fed into the Toshlink right and left output. That way the backup sensors will still function. This is all set and ready to go back in the car. We're going to make some form of a mount to mount this off in place. The only thing we'll be using is this guy right here, and of course the plugs that plug into here. Let's take a look at the AmpPro. Fernando got it mounted up in there. He used those 2 factory bolts right there. And of course the Toshlink cable, you have to keep it loose. See how it's at that nice bend? You want to make sure that you keep that bend. Don't put it in a tight bundle. Keep it in like a circle, like the way it comes from the package. Keep it nice and big like that. You want to make sure that light can circle around. If you zip tie it real tight, you'll destroy it. Then you'll have to run a new one, and that would suck.
So now we can apply the fast ring. The first piece is gonna be the back side. What I like to do is roll my window down just to see if it's gonna hit the window when it rolls up and down. Definitely this one is gonna hit. We're gonna cut it. So it's like a 1/2 inch. All right. And that's perfect. The second part of the fast ring is gonna be this, really thin. Careful. Sometimes the second part of the fast ring hits the window too, and this situation is not. This part of the factory plastic hits the speaker, so we're gonna remove it. We already installed the foam on the back of the speaker. The last part of the fast ring is gonna be this one. We're gonna test fit it first. Go outside of the speaker. Now we're gonna install the tweeter.
Fernando's to the point where he's got the tweeter mounted in place. Let's take one final look at it before he puts the grill on. You can see there, the tweeter is gonna come through there perfectly. Added in that foam is going to bring it up nice and into the car.
For the rear speaker is the same process. Test fit the fast ring, then you gotta cut it. I'm gonna prep our wires, so when Dean is finished the amp rack and everything, this is gonna be ready for him. First, what I want to do is cap the wires coming from the amplifier, because the amplifier is still active. We don't want any short, nothing like that. I know that Dean talked about this before. I just want to tell you real quick, if you want to cut the harness, don't cut it too short. Try to go like 2-3 inches. You don't have to cut it so short. We have to disconnect the rear headline speakers and the center console. The next step, that will be polarity test our speakers just to find out which one is positive. For that, we're gonna use the PT9A. If you hear, we have the popping sound. So that's red. That we have some wires ready and some labels. For that, I like to use label maker. This is the Rhino 4200, and I'm going to use the 1/4 inch heat shrink. And there we go. What we have left, we have right. Let's go and put it on. Are in, all the wires are marked. We just wait for the wires.
When we first started taking the amplifiers out of the car, as you recall, I ran a test through them to see what speaker was which amp was doing what. And Fernando had already started taking apart the passenger side of the car and had removed the speakers. We were only able to test the driver's side and the 2 rears. As it turns out, that kind of sucked, because what we found out later when Fernando was wiring up the amplifier underneath the seat, fixing all those wiring, is that one of the tweeters was blown. Specifically, this guy right here doesn't work. We called up the customer, and he actually had Audio Frog red label him out a tweeter addressed to Dean Frogenstein. Just like that, we're back in business. Now, I know some of you guys out there probably never heard of Audio Frog. Really nice speaker company based out of California. I strongly recommend heading over to the website. Here's the link right here. And check out their product. Another nice thing to do is check out their forums and tech support section. Top notch. Some of the articles that they have in there will blow your mind. A lot of you guys ask about like gain settings and DSPs and stuff like that. Read them. There's a whole section in there just on that. You'll learn a lot. The amplifiers are all connected. We went and put all the fuses in. It does make a rather nice color how that all lined up. Underneath here, we found a nice factory ground point, so we were able to ground all our amplifiers. We knew that going into it. I had checked. There's also a really nice one over here. The side panels are all in. Floor panels are back in place. The last step is getting the wire across here and connecting it up to the factory amplifier wiring over there. And of course, clicking in the bass knob. To get this center console out though, it was surprisingly easy. There's just 6 screws that hold it in. 2 in the back here, 2 in the bottom front, and 2 in the top front, and then this comes out and slides back. It gives us access to put in the bass knob, which Fernando mounted down there. It wasn't easy, and now he's trying to get that thing clipped in, and it's a pain. Fernando's already mounted this, as you guys saw. The last step is putting the ferrule on this and putting it in place. If you get a fuse holder that has a fuse already installed on it, make sure you go and tighten the screws. A lot of the times these will come with fuses in them and they'll be loose. You know, you just don't think, it's like, oh, there's a fuse in there, I don't need to check it. Always check it. If that fuse is loose, what's going to happen is it's going to bounce around inside of there, going to create a lot of heat, and it's going to melt your fuse holder and could possibly start a fire. The power system of this is all connected.